Hello there, I'm Thomas from She Died in a Parking Lot. This is the first part of a series of videos where I want to show you some music production tips and take you through my composition process. If that's possible for you, please listen with some headphones or some good speakers. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss the next steps. So let's make a beat, synthwave style, and let's start with the drums. Okay, coffee is in, it's a sunny day, let's do some drums. I've loaded an empty project in Logic. I set it to 90 BPM for the tempo over there. It's gonna be like kind of slow and kind of what we want for synthwave in general, but you can do it faster or you can do it a bit slower. Maybe we'll change it along the way, we'll see how it goes. Let's load Drum Machine Designer or any sampler you have for drums. If you don't have one in your DAW, which I doubt, I can recommend you the Sitala Sampler. I put a link in the video description. Today's samples are from Bucher. They are the free Vaporwave drum kit. I'll also put a link in the video description. Let's select a kick we like. I like this one, but I'm not very fond of the noise at the end. So in your sampler you can just crop your sample and do a little fade at the end so we have less noise. I think it's much better. So before and after. I like that. Now let's choose a snare. As you can see, there's already some processed sample snare with reverb. For today I want to show you with the kit dry so we can add some effects and reverb later. I like this one. It's a bit fat. Sounds good to me for now, and we will need a closed hi-hat. Okay. I like this one. We're gonna make a 4-bar beat. We want to keep it simple. We'll want to keep our snare on the second and fourth beat of each bar, hi-hat on each eighth, and the kick, well, we'll see for the kick. Let me show you how to write this directly in your DAW in your piano roll. So first you want to create a MIDI region. So we want it to be 4-bar length. And in it you can see there my sampler already put the right notes for our kit. As we said, we want the snare on each second and fourth beat of the bar, so you can use your pencil tool and put your notes where you want them. So on the second and fourth. Now for the kick, we'll want it usually on the third and third beat of each bar. So it goes like poo, ka, poo, ka. I don't want my metronome always on. Alright, so puka puka. Let's just add a few more kicks. So it goes more like. Let's do that on each bar. And one more on the last bar to create a more entertaining loop. So if I loop it. Okay, now for hi-hats, let's just do that every 8th note. So I'm gonna duplicate it so it's more easier. Boom, 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bar, So here we have our simple drum beat, which sounds like that. We'll add some more stuff later, just keep it simple for now. Now I'm just gonna adjust the volumes on the samples which are a bit loud for now. Now to make it sound a little bit more like an real 80s drums, I wanted to show you the gated snare trick. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna add reverb to the snare so it sounds way bigger, like in the 80s. Like think about the drum sound in the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. You know, first we're gonna create a send on our snare track, put it to 0 for now. It might be a bit different in your DAW, but the logic is the same. I'm gonna create the track over there so it sits next to my snare track. We'll want to put a nice big reverb. So I really like Valhalla Vintage Verb, but any reverb will do the trick. Okay, so we want it of course with the 80s color. We'll put a plate reverb, a big decay time, like 4 seconds is quite good, so for now it would sound like that. Alright, as you can see it's already like a big 80s reverb. We can hear that's a bit too much. It's too long. Then what you can do is add a compressor after your reverb. So it flattens the dynamic of the reverb and make it a bit more fat. And finally, to complete the trick, we're gonna put a noise gate after all of that. You can find it in Dynamics Noise Gate in Logic. Basically, what a noise gate is gonna do is that it's gonna listen to the audio signal which goes through it, through the threshold, and it's gonna let the sound pass when it goes over that threshold. Now, we don't want it on the reverb, we want to sidechain it with our snare. So every time our snare is gonna play, the gate is gonna let the reverb go through. Let me show you what I mean. Just now the release is really short, we're just gonna increase it until we find that iconic sound from the 80s. And here we have it. Now we can mix it directly with our bus right there. I'm gonna just name it gated snare reverb. So without and with. So to resume what we did with the gated snare is that we put a big long reverb and shorten it with our gate. So the reverb sounds short but big. Now we're gonna do a slight variation of our drum beat we have right there. Let me rename it. Drums, much better like that. So I'm just gonna duplicate it, loop it, and we're gonna want to make a nice tom break to go through an eventual next section. Let's take our drum sampler right there and find some toms. Alright, this one sounds good. Excellent. This one could be the medium tom. Yeah, so usually you want a high tom, a medium tom, and a low tom. Kinda like a real drum. So Sounds good. And for the low tom, I don't find something I want, so I'm just gonna use the same one as the medium tom I use right there, but I'm going to detune it in the sampler so it sounds lower. Alright, good for me. Let's try to write our tom break, so it would go something like... And we'll want to erase some stuff right there to let the tom breathe. And let's hear how that sounds. As you can see, we made two 4 bars beats, so now we have an 8 bar beat, the magic of mathematics. If you go listen to some Synthwave or any other electronic genres, you can notice that everything is based around 4 bar beats and ends up making 8 bar patterns or 16 bar patterns. Here we can have our foundation for maybe a verse or something like that. I also want to show you a couple of things I like to do to make drums. So what we're gonna do here is just to create a little ambient room reverb for our drums so it sounds a bit more lively and sounds a bit better right away. As you can see in Logic, when I select a drum machine designer, so the sampler we have right there for our drums, it automatically creates some buses for a reverb and a delay. Of course, you can do it manually and create your own bus. So what we're gonna do now is to select all of our tracks on the drums and process everything to the reverb bus, of course. Everything at 0 on the reverb stand, it sounds like that. A bit too much for the reverb, so what you can do is start at 0, increase the volume until you can hear the reverb, and then just back it off a little bit. You don't want your reverb to mask your drums. Let's try that. Okay, I think something like that could be good for us. So without reverb and with. Here it's my personal taste, I just want something just subtle for now and maybe add a bigger reverb later in the process. Of course you can choose any type of reverb you want. I would recommend something a bit short, something like a short plate or a short room. Here is just to add a little bit more warmth or glue everything together rather than to put a big reverb effect, which we can do always later. What you can do on your drum bus is to put a compressor to glue everything a bit together and have just a slight compression. So we'll want to keep our ratio below 3, basically, nothing too much. So I'm just gonna put it on 2.5 for now. We'll want to keep a quick attack somewhere around 10-20 milliseconds, depending of what you have. Let's just put it around 10 for now. Auto release is good. I don't want some auto gain, and what we aim here is to have something like 2 or 3 dB maximum of gain reduction. So let's try that. Alright, so with that and with. Like I did with the reverb just before, I don't want to do something like too much over the top and too much compression. It's just to have the drum sounds good in the composition process. It's definitely gonna change when we have all the other instruments and everything else. So it's good for me for now. One other thing I like to do when putting up some beats together is add some low shelf EQ and some high shelf as well. Don't forget to put a low cut. Once again, it's my taste, it's just what I like to do while making beats, so it just sounds good for now. And that's gonna change later for sure. Before our little changes, it sounds like that. And with the reverb, the compressor and the EQ, it sounds like that. So as you can see, it sounds a bit more lively and it's a little bit more fun to hear than the dry version we had a few seconds before. Once again, it's just for the composition process, and so it sounds good to you while you're making the beat. You can change all of that when you have all the other instruments and all the other effects. Or, of course, if you like that, you can just keep it this way. And I think that's all I wanted to show you for now, for the drums. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments and feel free to ask any questions. If that's not already done, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part of this series of videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.